Run round and explain it. Have you been keeping up with the news while you're here? I'll tell you what, some things have happened. I know you avoid it when you're away because it's sad, but I'll tell you, I will tell a couple of things. Earlier this week, right, the man who wrote the Hokey Cokey passed away. Oh yeah, it took 5 hours to bury him. Because every time he put his left leg in, his right one come out. Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Disney World in Japan closed its doors today for the last time ever. Nobody was big enough to get on the rides. Also in the news this week, Donald Duck checked into a very flash Beverly Hills hotel and he had a bird on his arm. Well, he's a duck. And he checked in the penthouse suite and 10 minutes later he's back in the reception, very ruffled. He said, excuse me, have you got any of those condominium things? You know, those things that stop me from having ducklings? The receptionist said, I think I know what you mean, sir. Do you mean condoms? He said, yeah, yeah. He said, I've got a packet here. Would you like me to put them on your bill? He said, what? Start the car. Also in the news this week, I don't know if you saw this, the traffic warden was writing a ticket to put on a car windscreen. As he leant over, he got hit by another car on the way past. They rushed him to hospital and he was in a bad way. They tried to resuscitate him, but nothing was happening. So the doctor said, get the jump leads. He said, what? He said, you know, the defibrillator will try and restart him. Oh, right, fair play. Clear. Poof. Clear. Poof. He said, I think we've lost him. What time do you make it? 12:05. Traffic warden sat up in bed. He went, hang on a minute, I'm not dead. Doctor said, sorry, mate, I've started writing the ticket now. Fantastic. Also in the news this week, there was a man working in a factory and he had some protective goggles on. And they got caught in a machine and pulled his head towards this machine and cut off one of his ears, like that. And his mate said to him, pick it up. He said, hey? He said, pick it up. He said, you can take that to hospital and I'll sew it back on for you. But you'll have to keep it moving, otherwise the circulation will go. Oh, right, he says. So he picked his ear up and off he went to the bus stop like that. And this fella came up to him and said, what are you doing, mate? He went, eh? He said, I've cut my ear off at work. I'm taking it to the hospital and they're going to sew it back on for me, but I've got to keep it moving like this. Otherwise the circulation will go. The fella said, you'll have to keep it warm as well. He said, all right, I'll put my pocket, be warm in there, won't it? So he stood at the bus stop like that. Actually, it's quite nice, I might do it later. And this woman came up, she said, you keep doing that, you'll go blind. He said, well, if I don't, I'll go deaf. What do you want? Yay! Born, I mean, when I was a kid, when I was growing up as a kid, if I was in my bedroom, I was either fast asleep or being punished by my old man. Do you remember that? It used to be a punishment, go to your room. Do you remember that? You can't get them out of the room now, the kids, can you? Well, they've got everything in there now, haven't they? They've even got internet in their bedrooms. To punish them, you have to say, stay out of your room, don't you? They're all pasty-faced, they don't get out at all now, do they? We used to play out in the street. Do you remember that? Knock down ginger, do you remember that? Knock the door and run away. Do you know they still do it today? It's called parcel force now, though. Except you don't actually get the parcel, somebody sneaks up your back, well, up your garden path, and they put a postcard through your door, don't they? Say we're called at 8:45 and you weren't in. It's ridiculous. It's like the Royal Mail now. Did you know this? Did you know? If you get a card over the standard size card and send it with a first class stamp on it, it doesn't work. Did you know that? So the person who receives it gets a postcard, they have to go to the post office and pick it up, don't they? And pay a fee of £1 or something to pick it up. That's first class, that is. That's ridiculous, isn't it? So I thought, well, I might as well have a laugh with it, you know. I must admit my best mate's getting a bit sick of it now, to be honest with you. Because every week for 6 months, I've sent him an A3 envelope with a bit of card in it. And he has to drive into town to pick it up. It costs him £1 to park the car, and a quid to pick the card up. And when he opens it up, it says, ha ha. It's a cheap laugh, have a laugh with it, eh? It's different, see? When I left school, I worked in a local post office. Do you remember them where everybody knew you? Everyone had a savings book. Do you remember them? Yes. Post office savings book. People used to come in, have a chat with me and say, could you check my balance? I used to push them over. Different now, see? What was that green thing that got you drunk on a Thursday? The gyro. Yeah, that's it, you got it. And they never had bulletproof glass in them days as well. I remember sitting there one day, this fella came in with a shotgun and aimed it at me. He said, hand over all the money or your geography. I said, don't you mean history? He said, don't change the subject. But now you go in the post office now, there's 2 people in there, you think, oh, that's all right, I'll just nip in and get some stamps. Won't take me a minute. Like this, isn't it, there? This way. This way. This way, isn't it? Zigzag queues. By the time you get to the counter, it's shut, isn't it? That's not a service, is it? I don't think it is, anyway. My nan, she used to say to me, do you know what, in our day, we used to better leave our doors open. Do you remember that? Nothing worth nicking, was it? Who wants to nick a mangle? Well, that's all it was, wasn't it? And when them rollers got wet, you couldn't pick it up, could you? We used to play out around my nan and granddad's, out in the backyard. They had a backyard. Didn't have a garden. And they had an outside toilet. Do you remember them? Never had a lock on the door, did they? You had to whistle or sing to let people know you're in there, didn't you? I can still hear my old granddad now, you know. Let's go for a little walk under... You used to come out all your bum was black with a newspaper print, wasn't it? They were halcyon days, they were. That's right, that's what you used to... Well, that was a thing, wasn't it? Things in them days, I mean, they're different things, but I mean, now you've got to pay money to get into London. Never thought that would happen. They call it congestion charge. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Congestion, the biggest congestion was about 4 months ago, the London Marathon. Do you see that? Thousands of them, right? That's congestion, isn't it? I was watching it. Don't it take forever? Am I facing the right way here or what? It's not going to be one of them staring competitions, is it? Is there anyone who works for the council? Have a look at that. Sweat. I'll show you what it looked like. I was watching the London Marathon, you know, trying to think of ways they could speed it up, you know, make it a bit more interesting for us, the viewer. And I just thought if every half a mile they shot the last 6. Well, you wouldn't want to be last, would you? That'd make the bloke in the gorilla outfit get a wriggle on, wouldn't it? Hey. And there's one bloke as well, we've all seen him, he runs a London Marathon every year dressed as a chicken. Hey? When he crosses the line, they wrap him in Baco foil. He's oven ready, isn't he? First thing. Television, I can't abide it now. One side you've got Antiques Roadshow, Cash in the Attic, Car Booty, Flog It, everybody's selling stuff, isn't it? On the other side you've got Ready Steady Cook, Can't Cook, Won't Cook, I've Never Cooked in My Life. Do you remember that, The Naked Chef? Cancel Me Hot Dog. It's ridiculous, isn't it? There was only one cook on the telly when I was a lad. Thank you very much, Fanny Craddock. Do you remember her husband? Johnny? He weren't really part of the show though, was he? He just used to get pissed in, didn't he? Well, I'm not telling lies, am I? You'd see him at the beginning of the programme with a bottle of wine and a corkscrew. And he'd stagger across the set, wouldn't he, like that, every 5 minutes. All he had to do was say goodnight. That was his job. I can remember sitting at 6:30 in the evening, my mum and dad watching this programme. Johnny Craddock made his way to the camera, lifted his wine glass up. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you've all enjoyed our show tonight. Please follow the recipe as close as you can, and I hope all your cakes turn out like Fanny's. My mum stopped me watching it in the end, you know what I mean? Well, there's a 9 o'clock watershed for that sort of thing now, isn't there? Mind you, nowadays, I suppose Muffin and Mule would struggle, wouldn't it, eh? That's an offence, isn't it? I'll do nothing now, can you? We used to have lovely Would you remember What's with Mother? Do you watch remember? Bill and Ben, do you remember them? Bill and Ben in the bath. Bill said to Ben, flubber, lubber, lubber, lubber. And Ben said, if that smells, I'll duck you. Do you remember Play School? Play School? Hey, that was live, that was, weren't recorded. What you saw was what you got. Great idea, until the fella who was presenting the show decided to get drunk before he went to work. And the music started. Now, I don't know if you remember, in them days, the BBC were very posh, weren't they? Here's a house. Here's a door. Windows 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready to knock? Turn the lock. It's Play School. And the door slid open, the fella stood there like that. Hello, boys and girls. I'm playing a game, aren't I? I know a song about it. Would you like to hear it? One finger, one thumb, keep moving. Well, they were flashing the lights at him and everything. He said, boys and girls, I've been to hospital today. I had an operation. I had a vasectomy. I've been learning a song about it. Would you like to hear it, boys and girls? Okay, then. Here we go, severing nuts in May. All over Barna shouting, let me tell you. You gotta love them. You gotta love them. So, good evening to the Welsh. Now, is there any of my friends here from all over the water? Menorca. Great timing. Are you from the north or the south? The north. Okay, there was a Southern Irish fella. Never been skiing in his life before, so he booked a holiday on the internet and off he went on the piste. He said, excuse me, sir, could you be after telling me where the nursery slopes are? The fella said, I'm very sorry, I can't help you, because I am a tobogganist. He said, how are you now? Could I have 20 Benson and Hedges from you? Well, the Irish fellow bought a brand new car and he was driving it back from the garage and it broke down. So he flagged the car down. He said, excuse me, sir, do you know anything about cars? The fella said, I don't, I'm a chiropodist. He said, can I have a tow then? It don't get no better. Be glad when I've had enough, me. A true story, Irishman on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Chris Tarrant. Well, Paddy, you seem to be struggling on this next question. Don't forget you've still got your 3 lifelines intact. A 50-50, a phone a friend, or an ask the audience. I'd like to phone a friend, sir. And who would you like to phone, Paddy? Sure, I'd like to phone Mick. And where's Mick tonight? He's at home waiting for the phone to ring, sir. In Dublin. Ring, ring. Hi, Mick, it's Chris Tarrant here on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. As you can probably guess, I've got your best friend Paddy with me. He's struggling on this next question and needs your help to get him up to £200. He said, I'll do my best, sir. The next voice you hear will be Paddy's, and when he starts to read the question to you, you have 30 seconds in which to respond. Okay, sir. Hello, Mick. Is that you, Paddy? It certainly is. Well, how's the missus? Chris Tarrant said, you've got 10 seconds left. He said, oh, Jesus, Mick, would you concentrate and help me with this question? Should I take a 50-50 or ask the audience?